That stunning call about Tim Cook. Longtime analyst Walter Piecyk made it on this very network last night, and it's been the talk of the town ever since. Let's bring in our resident expert, reporter Steve Kovac, along with star analyst Dan Ives of Wedbush, who is here with me at Post 9. Steve Kovac, you've been critical. You've been critical of Apple. You've been critical of their missteps in AI. You haven't and wouldn't, of course, in your role call for Tim Cook to be ousted. However, what do you think about Walter Piecyk doing just that? This is not some far-off blogger from who knows where. This man's been on the street for a long time and has covered this area for a very long time.
Yeah, and he's also giving an argument for Cook to leave on a very long and old argument, which is Apple needs a product guy versus the operator. And look, I've been covering this company for so long, Scott, and I've heard this the entire time throughout Tim Cook's tenure, that he is too focused on operations. Apple needs a product leader. It needs someone who is coming up with the next product after the iPhone, whatever that might be. We've heard that again and again and again. And just look at his record so far. I mean, the stock up 1,400% throughout his entire career. The idea that he is managing the geopolitical tensions so well with China and the United States and the tariff issue going on, doing the best that anyone can, and expanding manufacturing out in India and stuff. And I've heard this over and over again. Last time we went through this cycle, Scott, was when Johnny Ive left in 2019. And yes, I know there's the OpenAI factor that's coming into play now and things like that. But Apple has again and again under Tim Cook shown that it can get beyond that. And there you go. There are the superlatives right there. Market cap up 800%, $2 trillion worth of iPhones sold, stock performance 1,400%. It speaks for itself. Sure, the last 6 months have been tough. Sure, it's underperforming most of its peers. Sure, it has a lot of work to do in AI. But as I'm sure Dan is going to tell you here in a minute, it's still the early innings of artificial intelligence, and Apple does have the time to make up for it.
To Steve's point, Piecyk said, and I quote, Apple now needs a product-focused CEO. Missing on AI could fundamentally alter the company's long-term trajectory and ability to grow at all. This is a pivotal moment for Apple. It's time for more disruptive change, not less.
And look,
it is a pivotal moment, right?
100%. I mean, like, look, me and you've talked about it, especially the last 18 months. They've had black eye moments. If you think about WWDC, everything that they promised, they basically had to backtrack on last year. This year, was the snooze fest, a yawner. And you have this AI revolution going through. And it does feel like in this AI highway, going 100 miles an hour, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, that Apple's at a rest stop, sitting there just watching it, drinking lemonade. So the frustration...
That doesn't paint a very great picture, Dan.
And I think, to me, I disagree with what Walter's saying about Cook needs to go. I agree from an M&A perspective. This is time for Cook to rip the Band-Aid off. We talk about Perplexity. That is the no-brainer deal. And I would say if Cook stays on the treadmill when it comes to AI, this would impact, I think, his long-term legacy. I view him as a Hall of Fame CEO, but it would definitely be, I think, it is a pivotal moment.
Okay, it's funny that you use a sports analogy, because I've always thought that the criticism here was a little bit funny. And that in many regards, it was a no-win following an iconic legend like Steve Jobs. I almost look at it like, and you're a sports guy, you're a baseball guy. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. Joe DiMaggio, 325 career batting average, won 9 World Series. Who took over after Joe DiMaggio? Mickey Mantle. Yep. Was he a slouch? Was he Joe DiMaggio? I mean, he only batted .298 for his career, and he only won 7 World Series. But are you going to tell me that Mickey Mantle didn't do his job well?
And you're talking about, obviously, 2 of the legends, but I'll add
to Tim Cook's delivered 1,500% returns since he's a CEO. And what does that make him?
And I'll add to that. He is the Mickey Mantle of tech. But Mickey Mantle went through periods where he had different bats, and that was parts of his success. If you look at Cook, what he needs to do here, when it comes to AI, we're not talking about anything else except for in the Apple ecosystem. With AI, it's not going to happen internally. For the first time, we talk about it, since Beats 2014, $3 billion, they have to change. And I think the frustration's building, and I do continue to believe you'll not have the status quo. Cook will lead Apple for the next, what I believe, 4 or 5 years. But AI, it's a pivotal time for Cook to get off that treadmill.